This is going to be the fire roll, and this is going to be the wilderness survival piece of wilderness first aid. So I want to see that you can make primitive fire, and this is the easiest method. So bow drill is the most reliable, and if you want to learn primitive fire, do that. But I want to teach you one of the easiest. How this came about in World War II, our pilots were shot down, Germans captured them, and to mess with them, they would give them cigarettes but no way to light it, and our soldiers came up with the fire roll. So one piece of cotton. Now they got their cotton picking it out from their clothing, mainly from their socks, and you just need rust, charcoal, wood ash. I'm using wood ash here. Anything real powdery works. I've used chalk from rock climbing before. I've gotten that to work. It's almost too powdery. But anything that you can kind of get into a powder. Now I'm making 2 of these. I may not need it. And what this is going to do for you is it's 1 part in a 2-part method of making a fire. So we know shelter comes first, fire is second, and fire is going to keep us warm, let us boil our water and cook our food. But without shelter, if it rains, it'll put our fire out in most cases. Now the toughest part to a fire roll is finding fibers. The powder, like wood ash, I've seen people use dirt before, if it's powdery enough. The powder's not hard, it's the fibers. So I've used yucca before as a natural source. Cotton's the easiest, that's why I'm going to have you try out cotton. And almost anybody can do this. You don't have to be physical. It's really speed over pressure. I've used coconut husk, so this would be a good tropical or alternative to fire making. I've used the fibers from a Texas sable palm, where the palm fronds come out. I've taken those fibers and made those work. Yucca works really good because you can use green leaves or dried ones. Dried ones work best, but you can even get the green ones to work. So what's happening here is the powder holds the heat in and gets hot enough to ignite these fibers. So let me show. I'm going to roll it up nice and tight. So I'm going to do a couple of rolls, rolling away from me first. And now I'm going to roll this for about 15, 20 seconds. And hopefully, you need to give some pressure. Some people like to use 2 hands. Some people like to use 1. Now obviously you're not going to have this out in the wild. You would take a tree limb that's about that big around, split it in half, and use it that way. So you put one side, the flat side down, face up, and the other flat side, and roll your fiber between them. I've taken 2 rocks before. I've taken a tree limb and rolled it on a huge tree that was flat. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. All right, so let me roll this out so you can see how it works. It's going to take about 10 seconds, 10 to 20, somewhere right around there. So a lot of times I can smell it. So I already know it's burning, and I can see a black mark right here. So you see you can see the ember right there, so I'm not even going to make the other one. And that's fire roll. So that would go in your tinder bundle. You could split this in half, catch other things on fire with it, have a coal extender like some mushrooms or a cow patty to keep your coal going, and then that would give you multiple attempts to get your tinder bundle. Your tinder bundle should have a lot of surface area, be really fluffy in the center, and that's what you drop it into and blow it into flame. I just want to see that you can make a coal, because if you can do that, the other part's pretty easy to blow it into flame. You just got to be patient. So that gives you a primitive form of fire. So what would happen, how this fits into first aid, is if you're stranded, don't have a way to make fire, you find you a shelter, like a ready-made one or something that you build, and then now you need to treat your water and keep yourself warm. Now you make a coal out of some natural fibers and something powdery enough. Start with cotton first. Learn how to do it, get good at cotton, and then move on to other fibers and test those out and other powders as well. So that's a fire roll.